coming up on Sports Night.
Lacrosse faces a familiar foe in this weekend's Final Four.
Softball takes on the NCAA Regionals.
And baseball travels west for their last regular season series of the season.
Well, baseball's over, softball's over, tennis is over. Thanks to Ty Jerome, the Cavs season's over.
Braden. No time to sulk about the Cavs right now. Hey, at least you got the Cleveland Guardians / Indians who won that 2016 World Series, right? Oh, wait a second.
Right,
that was my Cubbies.
All right, Sammy, let's squash this beef right now. Let's squash it now. It's time to move on because it's Sports Night.
Right now.
Welcome to Sports Night. I'm Braden Olson.
And I'm Sammy Krimstein. And before we get into the sports, Braden, I have to give this music a shout out. I feel like we're always having a great time with it in the control room. We got a fire theme song.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Sammy. I feel like you and I in the control room, we're just jamming out to it every week. And you know, as a musician yourself, would you ever play a cover for it?
Braden, I would be absolutely honored to do a cover of the Sports Night theme song. But hey, we got a lot of sports to get into today. Northwestern women's lacrosse in the Final Four this weekend in Foxborough, Massachusetts. Braden, how'd they get there?
On a record-smashing morning, number 2 Northwestern women's lacrosse beat number 12 Pennsylvania 17-12 last Thursday to clinch a trip to the Final Four. Junior attacker Lucy Monroe scored the first 2 goals of the game, but the Quakers kept the game close through the first quarter, 5-3. The Cats kicked up the speed during the second as junior attacker Madison Taylor tallied her 4th goal of the half. Northwestern entered the break up 10-5. Penn brought the score within 1 with 5 minutes to go in the third, but graduate attacker Nikki Miles scored 2 goals against her old school to help put the game out of contention. Taylor notched a double hat-trick to officially break the NCAA single-season goals record with 105, while also earning 4 assists. Meanwhile, grad attacker Nikki Miles and junior attacker Lucy Monroe combined for 4 goals and 2 assists, 4 of which were in the first 7 minutes of the game. With the victory, the Cats have earned their place in the Final Four in Foxborough, Massachusetts, and they kick off their 2024 title game rematch against Boston College this Friday at 4:30.
And what a rematch it will be. 2 powerhouse programs. Get this, since 2005, the NCAA Finals have featured one of these 2 teams in all but 4 seasons. That's pretty impressive. This weekend, they'll face off in the first round of the Final Four with a trip to the national championship on the line. Here to break it all down for us, our very own Matt Campbell. Matt?
Thank you, guys. Well, following a pair of wins in the NCAA Regionals, Kelly Almonte Hiller and company go mobile to end their season. The Lake Show boards the Cats Express for a weekend getaway to Boston, where they'll meet this year's best squads in a battle for national supremacy. But first, let's just recap how we get there. So let's break this all down. This is the Evanston Regional. So the Cats' number 3 national ranking was good enough to earn them a bye. Their opponents in the second round, Michigan, claimed a dominant 17-6 win over Akron before they fell to a dominant 15-7 win in the second round. Now, in this match, I mean, this is characterized by Maddie Taylor herself. In this matchup, she put up one of the greatest offensive performances in lacrosse history, an NCAA tournament record, 10 goals in all of about 47, 48 minutes. Absolute insanity. Now, following this, many people thought it would be a rematch of the Big Ten Championship, Northwestern and Maryland. However, Penn would shock the world by coming back in the dying moments of round 2, overcoming a 2-goal deficit in the final 2 minutes of regulation. So an 11-10 win for Penn in overtime to send them to the quarterfinals. Now, don't let this 17-12 score fool you. This game was much closer than that final score predicts. Penn actually pulled within 1 within the third quarter, and Dane Hansen made some great plays in this matchup to save the Cats season right here. So Northwestern win propels them to the Razor, the Final Four. And if you're a non-New Englander like me, this is Gillette Stadium, where they meet Boston College, UNC, and Florida for the Final Four. On this side, obviously we know a rematch of the national championship from last season, but on this side over here, a pair of intriguing opponents for Northwestern, North Carolina, who Northwestern faced in the regular season, and what might be considered game of the year, and the Florida Gators of the Big 12, an unfamiliar foe to the Northwestern Wildcats. So let's start with this Final Four matchup right here, which has us all foaming at the mouth right now. It seems like this is going to determine the Towartown winner between Maddie Taylor and Shea Dolce. It's a two-woman race at this point. If Maddie Taylor can continue her dominance that she has started throughout the NCAA tournament against her junior counterpart, it bodes well for the Northwestern Wildcats. If not, Riley Campbell, who's been quiet as of late, needs to step up and provide some offensive firepower, which we know she's capable of doing. On the defensive side, Jane Hansen is going to have her hands full with Rachel Clark and Emma Lapinto. But what can she do at this point? She's been sensational in the defensive zone. So many interesting and intriguing matchups here in the semifinal, but I've got a couple more if Northwestern makes it to the national championship. If it's North Carolina, then look out for the defensive scheming between the respective coaches of the year. This game might actually revolve around the two freshmen. I'm talking about Mary Carroll and ACC Freshman of the Year, Eliza Osborne. Jenny Levi will probably look to isolate her attacker in one-on-one situations, while Kelly Amante Hiller will look to provide some help for Mary Carroll in the defensive zone with Sammy White and Mary Mulgrave. If this tournament gives us yet another upset and it's Florida in the national championship, then Northwestern versus the Gators will be decided in the draw circle. Sammy White is coming off what is her best performance in the draw circle, 15 draw controls against the University of Pennsylvania, but can she perform as well against a team that ranked second in the Big 12 in draw controls? The Gators will likely rotate between Callie Bishop and Caitlin Davies to try to keep as much possession time as possible against Northwestern. The big question is, can Sam Smith continue to be the Sam Smith we've been accustomed to? So what? Now, I understand that the BC Eagles posed a major threat to this team's national championship hopes, but this squad, especially defensively, is much, much better than they were the first time they faced each other inside Ryan Fieldhouse. And I'll go as far to say that it was the same case against the UNC Tar Heels later on in the regular season. For Northwestern, it'll be about kicking things into high gear early in that first quarter, because that is when they perform their best. Guys?
Thank you so much, Matt. Less than 24 hours until the Final Four gets underway. You can catch all the action from Foxborough at 4:30 Central Time on ESPNU. And when we come back, we'll see how softball fared in an NCAA postseason action.
Trying to work my way out of the prison system was the most difficult challenge of my life. It only became tangible once I became a Northwestern student.
One, two, three, four.
My relationship with Giannis is unique. We're from the same country, we're from the same city. Being a Northwestern alum, I think, has tremendous advantages in the sports industry. To me, that community, it's been with me for 20 plus years.
Welcome back to Sports Night. And Braden, exciting getting to anchor with you. We've been looking forward to this one for quite a while.
Yeah, I mean, this is super exciting stuff, Sammy. We've been ominously talking about May 22nd to our friends for like 2 months now, and now they finally know what we mean.
They finally do know what we mean, or Or do they? After a heartbreaking upset in the Big Ten tournament, against Purdue, Northwestern softball needed to pick themselves up for the NCAA tournament. For the 7th year in a row, the Cats made the top 64, and this time around, they traveled to South Carolina for a battle with Kentucky, Clemson, and USC upstate. NU opened the tournament against Kentucky last Friday and shut out the Wildcats off the back of Lauren Boyd's complete game. A pair of 2-run knocks for Kansas Robinson and Kaylee Avasado was enough for the 4-0 victory. On Saturday, it was another battle of the felines as Northwestern played host to the 11th-ranked Clemson Tigers. This one went 8 scoreless before a triple from Abby Vieira, followed by a bunt single from Marion Collins, broke the deadlock in the top of the 9th. Boyd once again threw a complete game. However, this time the Cats couldn't muster up any run support and fell by a score of 1-0. Kentucky beat USC upstate in the losers bracket, which set up a rematch between them and Northwestern. Do-or-die showdown Saturday evening, but Riley Grudzilana got the ball and she struggled mightily, giving up 4 earned runs through an inning and 2/3. The Cats would end up surrendering 7 in the second and could not make up the deficit, losing by a score of 8-3 to end their season. Northwestern softball finished the 2025 campaign with a record of 30-20-1 and missed the College World Series for the 3rd consecutive year.
Women's golf made history Wednesday night, winning the program's first ever national championship. The Wildcats took down number 1 ranked Stanford 3-2 in match play. Northwestern defeated Arkansas and Oregon in a Tuesday doubleheader on their way to the championship. The thrilling finale went down to the wire. Lauren Nguyen and Sintai Lin won their matches, and the teams entered the 5th and final match in a 2-2 deadlock. Diana Lee maintained a narrow lead throughout the championship deciding bout and delivered in the clutch for the Cardiac Cats. This was Northwestern's 3rd tournament win of the year, and certainly its biggest. Northwestern is the 8th program to win the NCAA Division I Women's Golf National Team title since the match play era began in 2015. Celebrations have commenced in Evanston, with the Wildcats now holding 2 national championships this academic year.
If you've ever heard this TikTok sound, then you've heard the voice of 2014 Northwestern graduate Sam Levitt.
And with that, the 2022 season comes to an end. Good night.
Before he amassed over 1 million followers on TikTok, Sam Levitt, who's currently the San Diego Padres pre- and post-game show host, he was sitting right here at this desk of NNN Sports Night. Check this out, really cool stuff.
Good evening and welcome to Sports Night. Along with my fellow New Yorker, Natalie Lax, I'm Sam Levitt. Good evening and welcome to Sports Night. Along with Harry Swartout,
I had the pleasure of catching up with Levitt a few weeks ago in an all-new Sports Night series, Alumni Arena, where we hear from Northwestern grads that are working in the sports industry. Here's the interview. But first things first, how are you doing? How's the season been going with the Padres?
Well, Sammy, I appreciate you having me on. You're right, great name. And I'm a proud NNN Sports Night alum, a very proud WNUR alum as well. I would not be where I am today without both those organizations and my time at Northwestern. So I appreciate you having me on, and it's good to be back on the NNN Sports Night airwaves.
And tell us about your experience with Northwestern sports media. When did you get involved? Was that something you were always looking to do going into college?
So I had a pretty unique story. I did not start in Medill. I did not start doing things at WNUR and NNN. I was pre-med when I showed up to Northwestern. I was in Weinberg in the College of Arts and Sciences. And then before my sophomore year, I decided that I wanted to really go for it and do sports journalism and sports broadcasting full on, and transferred into Medill before my sophomore year.
Tell me what that community means to you. Even still to this day, the Northwestern sports media community.
I made so many great friends working at WNUR and NNN. It was a tight-knit community. I mean, we all had fun. We all worked hard. We all took a lot of pride in what we were doing and the product we were putting out. I mean, we put in so much work and had so much care into these broadcasts, into these telecasts, into the content, into the social media, into the way we covered the teams. I mean, I'm really proud looking back on it, you know, the pride we took in it all. and we treated it like there were millions of people listening and watching. And because of that, we spent a lot of time together.
When you finally, got that call from the Padres or finalized that offer to go over and get to broadcast at the major league level, what were some of those emotions like for you? Because that's obviously the dream to do it at that level.
When I got the job in San Diego, it felt great. I was super excited about living in San Diego, super excited about working at the major league level. And I certainly felt like my time in the minors had paid off. And, certainly felt that way last year when I had an opportunity to call a couple of games. And I'm super, super grateful for every step and every opportunity.
I know you're well known for the TikTok trend that, went viral, right? The 2024 season, whatever season it may be, comes to an end. So I want to kind of pivot to that a little bit and tell me how that came about.
The story behind that is essentially in 2021, I had done this video at the end of the baseball season in Amarillo. And it was basically a video to just kind of wrap up the season. It was just a piece of content, like I had done the whole baseball season. And it was a video of me saying, basically like doing a mock broadcast. I wasn't actually on the air, but it was, me saying, and with that, the 2021 season or 2021 season comes to an end. Good night. And then I walked out into the ballpark and I looked out at the ballpark. We had the video production room guys shut the lights off. And it was just a piece of content like I had been doing all season, right? Because I'd been having success with it. Nothing really happened with that. I come to San Diego the next season and I make the same video at the end of the year, but this time it's just in San Diego. And instead of looking out at the field in Amarillo, I'm looking out at Petco Park. Don't think much of it, put the video out. I don't even remember how it did. And then the really weird part happens where I don't know who was the first to do it. I don't know how it happened. To me, it's a mystery to me because I really didn't intend for this part to happen. The sound, my voice starts popping up with different music under it, and people start using it to like wrap up their, first it was like high school athletes wrapping up their high school football seasons or whatever sport they played. And then it started happening where people were doing it like with end of year montages. And then, CapCut becomes a thing and you have these templates and I don't know. Then it multiplied and there were, literally dozens, hundreds maybe of sounds with my voice on it with this music and it just went and it became this trend where people were wrapping up their year with it. And in 2022, it was crazy to see what was going on and it was all over the place. And, then admittedly in 23 and 24, last couple of years, I've done the same videos.
Thank you so much to Sam Levitt for joining the show. Really cool to see where NNN Sports Night can lead you. We'll be posting the full interview tomorrow on our YouTube page. Make sure to check that out.
And don't go anywhere just yet. We've got some baseball action when we come back.
My relationship with Giannis is unique. We're from the same country, we're from the same city. Being a Northwestern alum, I think, has tremendous advantages in the sports industry. To me, that community, it's been with me for 20 plus years.
Ready, set, now! Welcome back to Sports Night. And Sammy, how about those Cubs, man?
Hey, Braden, I got to say, I'm excited about the Cubs. Don't, it could be a little early. Don't want to jinx it. I don't know if there's wood anywhere. I would knock on it, but I think this could be a playoff team this year. I'm very excited. And, Braden, how about your Guardians? They're doing pretty well?
Yeah, well, I also knock on wood. I mean, we just got our first win after like a 5-game losing streak, but I guess we'll knock on glass maybe.
Yeah, that'll have to do. That'll have to do.
But, while we're on the topic of Chicago baseball teams, Northwestern just barely missed out on the Big Ten tournament after dropping a series to UCLA.
Yeah, Braden, it was the last regular season series of the year for Northwestern in sunny Los Angeles, and they still had a chance to qualify for the Big Ten tournament. Cats were right on that bubble. Let's see how they fared. Unfortunately, the toughest test yet for the Cats. Off to Los Angeles, they went to face the 15th best team in the nation, UCLA. The reigning Big Ten Player of the Week picked up right where he left off in his first at-bat, deep to right center, and Peyton Brennan is going to watch it fly 2-0 Northwestern, 3 batters into game number 1. And there he goes again. Another AB, another bomb, which means Trent Liolis' single-season home run record goes up in smoke. But wait, we're not done yet. Immediately after, Bennett Markinson, Bark, leaves the park. Into the palm trees it goes, and the Cats use the early surge to upset number 15 UCLA in game number 1. All right, time for game 2. And for Matthew Kauser, the West Coast trip did not bring sunshine or rainbows. The UCLA offense was determined to rain on the first year's parade. Levu, puts 2 on the board in the first with a double, and the Bruins would continue to hammer the youngster on the bump. The Big Ten Player of the Year and Rock Kolowski was eager to get something to go, and yes, there you see it right there. He did. Laus tried to bring it back. He could not. Flip the script from game 1, 4-0 Bruins. And that's a barrel. Let's take a look at this pitching performance, though. Michael Barnett from UCLA, utterly dominant in game 2 for the Bruins. 6 1/3, giving up only 2 runs, striking out 8. Stroke out 8 in the 4th inning. Really good stuff from him in that match. Middle of the order, McElpatrick, Kucherak, and Lausch. Fastball right there, working the off speed. Everything was working for him, earning the win for UCLA, 8-2, the final. Now, time for game 3, another rendition of the Ryan Kucherak show. His 3rd and final homer of the series, officially setting the new Northwestern single-season home run record at 18. And AJ Salgado claps back for the Bruins not long after a looping double into the left center gap, giving UCLA a 2-1 advantage in the first. Cats need McMillan to limit the damage, vying for a win to sneak in the Big Ten tournament, but number 24 does not care about your favorite team's playoff hopes. He elevates it to right, puts the exclamation point on the rubber match win for UCLA. Northwestern then watching Michigan State walk off Minnesota to pull even in the standings, and with the head-to-head loss, the Cats fall out of title contention. Northwestern finished 1 game short of reaching the Big Ten tournament, ending the year with an overall record of 25-27, with 13 of those wins coming against Big Ten opponents.
And with baseball's 2025 season officially in the rearview mirror, the team will look ahead to its 2026 campaign. But before we do that, SportsNight's very own Leo Tesler has the analysis on what went well for this year for the Cats, as well as what needs to be improved for next year. Take it away, Leo.
Thanks, Braden. After going 1-2 in their final weekend series at UCLA, the Cats, unfortunately, they failed to qualify for the Big Ten tournament. That ended their season. The good news, though, is that now we get to dissect the baseball team's 25-27 season, their most successful in recent memory. Welcome to Northwestern Baseball by the Numbers 2025 edition. Let's dive in. All right, before we dive really far in, let's zoom out a little bit and let's take a look at where the team stacks up against its Big Ten foes. Up top, you can see the offensive statistics. The Cats' offense struggled to make a consistent amount of contact and get on base. You can see those numbers right up there. However, both their average and their on-base percentage are nominal improvements from last season when the Cats' marks were over 20 points lower. What's most interesting, though, is how well they did in this power department right here, ranking in the top half of the conference in slugging percentage. Pitching side, a little less optimistic. The Cats were bottom 2 in ERA, fielding independent pitching, or FIP, and strikeout to walk ratio, while faring just a little bit better in home runs allowed, ranking 14th. The Cats staff probably just lacks some command of their pitches outside of the strike zone, failing to generate swing and miss at a high rate. Now, let's take a look at some of the Cats' best hitters from this last season. I have batters listed by their OPS plus, which takes batters on base plus slugging and puts it on a scale where 100 is better than average, or above 100 is better than average. Their K rate, their walk rate, and their outs above average. That's a fielding metric. After a slow start, Ryan Kuchrak became the Cats' most productive hitter, leading the team with a 135 OPS plus. You can see that in italics. His plate discipline, not great. Struck out a lot, walked not a lot. And next, after we talk about Cooch, we'll go to Owen McElpatrick with a 116 OPS plus. He's the team's most rounded hitter. Strikeout rate, meh. Walk rate, but he can pick it at third. 2 outs above average there, was one of the most valuable fielders on the team. And Trent Liolis became the first out of 2 Cats to smash the single-season home run record before, of course, being outdone by Ryan Kuchrak. And while the strikeouts kind of caught up with him by the end, you can see that high number right there. He finished with a solid 124 OPS plus. And finally, let's talk about Jackson Freeman. The sophomore didn't show so much growth in his second collegiate season. He finished well below average as a hitter, but he cut his strikeout rate by nearly 4 points since last season, so something to look forward to for next season. Now let's take a look at the pitching side. It wasn't great, as we previewed earlier, but the Cats had 3 very reliable arms in Sam Leboke, Blake McMillan, and Crawford Wade. All 3 finished with at least average ERA pluses, with McMillan's leading the team, and Leboke demonstrated an absurd ability to avoid those free passes, walking just 5.7% of the hitters he faced to lead the team. On the flip side, not even one pitcher on this staff struck out batters at an above average rate. So Crawford Wade was 0.3% below average at 19.1% K rate right there. Matthew Kauser also really struggled to miss bats in his big opportunity in the rotation. Abysmal K rate, barely eclipses his walks, as you can see here, while swingman Amar Sengeg got some time in both facets of college pitching. He actually managed to walk more batters than he struck out. This final column shows each pitcher's home runs above average, which is how many more home runs they would give up, or that they did give up, as compared to an average pitcher who faced the same number of batters. Out of these 5, only McMillan was above average. Now, despite these lows, the Cats did manage to add some talent this year that'll stick out and develop into roster mainstays in the near future. At the top of that list, we've got QB1, that's Jack Lausch. Struggled early with swing and miss issues, but rebounded in the second half to get his slash line to a respectable place. Still a little bit below average, though. The Cats also brought in another lefty outfielder in freshman Zach Carlson. Didn't see that much time this year due to the Cats' crowded outfield situation, but showed out as a pinch hitter enough to gain the trust throughout the season. Now, on the pitching side, we discussed Matt Kauser already, but 2 other freshman arms did receive a solid chunk of innings this season. Jack Grunkmeyer struggled mightily outside the zone, walking a ton, while also plunking a whopping 20 batters. Still, the righty limited hard contact and ate up innings when the team needed him. And then we move on to the lefty Christian Fornes. He had similar control issues, but he tightened them up when he moved to the rotation later in the season. So finally, what needs to change for this team? Firstly, they need more out of hitters not named Kuchrak, McElpatrick, or Liolis. It just got way too easy for pitchers to work through this lineup after passing those guys, with no one else kind of hitting consistently enough throughout the year. Lausch's breakout will definitely help, but the lineup has a ways to go. Next, the pitching staff needs to miss more bats. If they're going to throw outside the zone consistently as they have been, they need to make sure opposing hitters can't just lay off, Then finally, the pitching staff also just needs to stay a little healthier. Garrett Shearer, the team's ace, went down early, and as a result, the entire staff was kind of stretched and leaned on more than they probably expected. Injuries are, of course, impossible to predict, but the Cats need to build up their depth so that they can withstand injuries. Still, with a 9-win conference record improvement from last year and clear lanes for progress, things are looking up for the future of Wildcats baseball. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Leo. It should be exciting to see how Greenspan addresses the upcoming offseason to reload for 2026. And here's how you can catch the Cats.
Northwestern lacrosse travels east to take on Boston College in their backyard, Boston.
If they win that game, the Cats will face the winner of top seed UNC and 4-seed Florida for the chip.
And let's look way ahead here, even further. Northwestern football will kick off its season in New Orleans in August. Yeah, we're at the end of the spring season here. And when we return, something you do not want to miss, Plays of the Week. Stay tuned.
I'm Kelly McEvers, founding host of the NPR podcast Embedded.
I'm James Edwards, host of the Unresolved podcast from Frontline.
I'm Antonia Cereijido, former senior producer of Anything for Selena podcast and current executive producer at Elias Studios.
My narrative, since I've been locked up and kind of made my transition, has been like redemption, accountability.
When I come into the classroom environment, every individual that sits amongst me takes education seriously.
My relationship with Giannis is unique. We're from the same country, we're from the same city. Being a Northwestern alum, I think, has tremendous advantages in the sports industry. To me, that community, it's been with me for 20 plus years.
Welcome back to Sports Night. Braden, we're nearing the end of tonight's show, which means it's time for Plays of the Week.
You're absolutely right, Sammy, and I've been looking forward to this part since we got on desk. You know, many sources that I have are actually telling me that some of your intramural basketball highlights could be making a cameo tonight.
Uh-oh, that's not a good thing. Let's get to Plays of the Week. All right, here we go. We got all Wildcat baseball this week.
All Wildcat baseball. Number 3, Markinson fields a low pitch into the dirt. UCLA attempts to steal. Markinson throws, and Kucherak tags the runner for the Northwestern out to retire the side.
Number 2, Fornes throwing a pitch outside. UCLA batter fires one right into his glove for the impressive behind-the-back catch.
Behind the back to strand a pair.
And at number 1 to top things off, top of the first, it's Kucherak again, 2-1 count, and he launches one over the fence to give the Wildcats a 1-0 lead. And that is all we have for Plays of the Week this week.
Well, Braden, that's all she wrote for tonight's episode of Sports Night. What a time. It's been a pleasure.
It has been a pleasure. You know, as a former WNUR Sports Voice radio host once said, this was truly electric.
Wonder who that could have possibly been. Well, thank you all so much for tuning in. Make sure to leave a follow on Instagram at @NNN_sports and on Twitter at NNN Sports. For Braden Olson, I've been Sammy Krimstein. Hope you have a great rest of your night.